Hello, everybody. This is Imran and I'm here with my co-host Ismail Abdurrahman, and we are going to be continuing our series, the Entrepreneur's Playbook. Ismail, how you doing?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Just getting on with the winter over here, and nothing else.
Yeah, well, at least where you are, it's a mild winter. I remember those winters are not too bad, especially compared to where you came from.
That's that excellent perspective.
So, with respect to what's going on in the world and entrepreneurship, um, you know what's funny?
What's that?
I get a lot of people who contact me, and they express an interest in becoming entrepreneurs. And then they always go, but I don't know if it's the right time. And, the economy's like this, and we got this whole pandemic. And, there's a lot of apprehension out there. And unfortunately, we also have the other side where we have people who are like the messaging is pretty aggressive, right? So you get people who are posting things like, how's your 401k doing you now? And almost shaming people who have a 9 to 5 into thinking, there's no way for them to attain success unless they ditch the 9 to 5 and jump feet first into entrepreneurship. And, that's the messaging is irresponsible and is incorrect, So I think that in general, with where we are now, we have to let people know they have options, and it's not a one size fits all formula. I think people have to know that, ultimately you make decisions that you think are best for you, but, we can still give you, like you said, a playbook or a blueprint to help you get from here to here and then continue to grow the game,
What's interesting. I'm happy you brought that up because just a couple of days ago, I was talking to people about the pros and cons of, say, owning your own business slash entrepreneurship. Not necessarily the same thing, but there are a lot of similarities. And I was mentioning that if you prefer a defined structure, a defined role, a safety net, a supposed safety net, and you don't mind hierarchy, maybe you want to stay employed. Maybe you want to stay within the confines of a normal, job and employment. But if you're somebody who has regret based on missing many opportunities, and you're someone who thinks outside the box or can think of unique solutions to unique problems, but especially that regret factor, right? You have to kind of lay your stake into the entrepreneurship game and try it out. And I mean, we'll get to this in a couple of minutes about the side hustle school. And I know you ran like a 5-day series, free series for those who were interested in starting a side hustle. And we can go into the details of that. But what's interesting is that, I mean, the whole knock on the 401k thing, okay, fine. But the 401k is a normal structure, right? It's not an entrepreneurship structure where, as an entrepreneur, you're like, I'm going to invest in a 401k. A 401k is offered by many employers, right? And this is what people who don't want to think too much about investments would do. Now, think about something like Bitcoin, right? And you see Bitcoin on the news and you see these fluctuations. If you had gotten into Bitcoin in March of this year, oh, I'm sorry, March of 2020, when the COVID pandemic hit, it got down to about $5. Okay, right now Bitcoin is above $40,000 as of today. Now, say you went in $10,000, that's about $80,000 you could pull out in less than a year, right? And again, that's not a traditional investment. It's something that requires research. It's something that requires you taking risks. But entrepreneurship is about testing the waters, trying out new solutions, trying out new ideas. So I would agree with you that this is still a very good time to get into entrepreneurship. If you see what's going on with Bitcoin, and the U.S. banks are going to be starting to accept blockchain technology. You see people always complaining about the volatility of the stock market, but in the groups that I follow, I see a lot of winners in the stock market. Tesla is another example.
Right.
Off the bat, do you know how much Tesla increased this year?
Over the course of the year, I'm not sure. I saw something recently that it was up like, I don't know, 230 something percent. Was that just over like, the past, 12 weeks, or was that over 6 months or a year? I'm not sure. But the point is, it's rising fast.
I think that takes into account the last, like the 12 calendar months of 2020, and obviously that takes into account the split and everything that happened. But again, right, COVID hits, and there's a period where everything, if you look at the graphs, everything just goes down, and people are, again, the worst time to sell. The worst time to sell when all your investments are so devalued, and you get afraid that if I wait any longer, I'm going to lose even more value. But I've met people recently who say this dip, this is the best time to get into investing in other things like real estate or the stocks or crypto. And if the people who jumped in Tesla in March when it was like at its lowest peak in the last year, I mean, these guys are laughing right now, right? They're having a great time, and thinking about what they're going to do with their money. So, circle back now, and I want you to kind of touch on the side hustle school. And you mentioned in the beginning that there are people who want to dip their feet in entrepreneurship but don't take the plunge. So, do you feel that the side hustle school is a good way to kind of slowly transition them into full blown entrepreneurship?
Yeah, see, one of the things you got to think about is this, right? There's more than one way to skin a cat. So at the end of the day, I think what people are looking for are ways to start to generate wealth that are independent of whatever they're doing for their full-time occupation. And with people being furloughed and laid off, losing jobs and companies closing down, it's a reasonable proposition now that unless you are a very highly paid professional, uh, you might be working in an industry or for an organization that could be negatively impacted by, economic fluctuations. So when that happens, what do you do? So now we have to have strategy. So we want to talk to people about investing, but if you're living paycheck to paycheck, realistically, you don't have the capital to invest. I mean, being able to, get a payday loan or scrape together, $100 here and there isn't going to position you to make impactful investments that could be significant long term, right? So then what's the solution? Well, the solution is you got to get more cash. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to start a side hustle. So what we've done with the side hustle school is to create a blueprint for how you can start a business on the side that could, have some market impact, but importantly, generate the cash flow that could allow you to make an appreciable change in your standard of living. And maybe it starts as a lifestyle business, but depending on what it is that you're doing, it could actually grow into a startup. Like every startup doesn't start with people knee deep full time from the start. Very often what happens is all the ideation and the planning work goes on for a good while, maybe up to a couple of years before the founders are ready to go full steam. They get into an accelerator or they find an angel or a VC fund. And from there, they're able to focus solely and fully on the business. But that's not everyone's reality. So being able to understand, okay, what do I need? If I want to start a business, what exactly do I need? You don't need a business degree. You don't have to go get an MBA. You don't have to go study accounting. They're very basic principles that we can use in order to test what the market's going to respond to and provide that, right? And pull enough resources together to get what at least a basic version of that solution to the market. And then based upon market response, make the necessary adjustments so that now we can grow the business. So what we've done, like I said, it's a 5-day, the way we offered it this time was an intensive 5-day workshop, really helping to change people's mindsets, understanding what it takes to start a product, and how to identify gaps in the market where you might be able to fill in with a solution, identifying customers, doing customer development, and then launching, and importantly, managing your money so that you make sure that what you're doing is going to be profitable.
Yeah, I have to say I attended.
So in a nutshell, that's what we've done. And the response, honestly, was fantastic.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. There's a slight delay, so I thought you stopped speaking. No, I was going to say that I attended the sessions, and the sessions were very helpful. They were extremely thorough, something you would not expect in a session such as this. every session was extremely thorough, and there was enough time for pair and group work. I know you paired us up, you grouped us up, and you had us examine different case studies. You had us work together to come up with solutions. And some of the feedback we got from some of the other students was excellent, and people truly benefited from this. So I think that the program is excellent. Definitely, I want to put the link on the bottom of the video so people can take a look at it and see if they're interested, sign up for it. But just because we're coming back to this now, and we don't want to keep this episode too long. And then by next week, we're going to be going now again in depth into certain case studies and looking at different entrepreneurs or looking at different companies. But close us out. What last words do you have for us? And I'm gonna, before I let you say that, you said something very profound to me earlier last week. You said, the best time to invest was yesterday, and then the next best time is today. So on that note, can you close us out, and then we'll talk again next week.
Yeah. See, one thing I want to impress upon people is this, right? There's always going to be a level of uncertainty, right? Anytime you do something new, and especially when you look around you and you see lots of uncertainty, there's a certain level of fear or anxiety or apprehension. But if you have certain basic principles that you're going to adhere to, right? So whether that's for entrepreneurship, right? These are the principles that I'm going to use to build my business related to testing the market first before I build a full solution, and then making the necessary adjustments or making a pivot, right? Or with respect to investment, right? Really digging into the fundamentals of a company and like being committed to a buy and hold strategy as opposed to trying to flip every time there's a market fluctuation. Understanding principles, right? And letting principles drive your tactics can eliminate a lot of the anxiety that goes along with getting into something new, especially when you don't have a lot of experience and there's a lot of white noise in the market about what might happen or what people are prognosticating will happen, right? So sometimes we just have to say, listen, I've got an interest in this. I'm trying to hedge against perhaps being laid off or being unemployed. What are some of the ways that I can employ now to start to generate wealth, or at least cash flow that I can then use to invest to create wealth, right? So I can secure a future. And that's what people have to understand. So where we are right now, this time is unprecedented. While market fluctuations all over the place, I get it. But here's the thing. If you don't start, you can't make progress. So we can always start it with a slow ramp up. You don't have to go all or nothing, 100% all in. But if you bet on yourself, right, and you trust your instinct, if there's something in you that's saying, listen, it's time for me to make a change. It's time for me to do something different. I can't continue to rely on things that I know were not created or run specifically for my own personal interest. So I need other support. I need investments. I need a side hustle. I need a full-time business. Awesome. Don't be so afraid of failure that you allow that to handcuff you and prevent you from making a move forward. So with that, I would say, there's always mentorship and coaching available. You don't have to do it alone. But importantly, don't be afraid to make a move. Like Imran said, back, I think it was in March when Tesla was down to 500. And now, I mean, had you gotten in then, you'd be pretty happy now, right? I'm sorry, Bitcoin. So if you think of 5,000, that is.
5,000.
So if you think about where the market is and how where these fluctuations are, if you think about, all of those changes, right? And if you can see your way through to what the future might be, if you're patient, right? And you're guided by your business or investment principles, then the future could be bright. You could be successful far beyond what you're able to do when your entire income potential is determined by an employer.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again. Again, we're going to start up the series, the Entrepreneurship's Playbook, the Entrepreneur's Playbook, every week. and Ismail has a 5-day course on getting into entrepreneurship, the side hustle school, and he has other programs as well. He has group coaching, mentoring, etc. So do take a look at that. We're going to provide the link on the bottom and in the description below. And do follow us on social media. Ismail's handle is iVibes. Is that correct?
Real_I vibes.
Real_I vibes. I'm going to include that in the description. Do follow him. He has amazing content that he puts out, not even weekly, daily. He puts out almost daily content. So do check it out. And we'll see you guys next week. And we'll make an announcement on when that next episode is going to air. It's probably going to be live. So we'll let you guys know. Thanks once more and see you guys next week.